Yes, it's true. Warner Brothers is apparently making more Lord of the Rings movies. Now, I wouldn't worry immediately. If they said a reboot of the trilogy, then I would start to worry because if you were given 200 years and all the money in Hollywood, I don't think you can make a trilogy that bests Peter Jackson's. Like, don't even try to reboot. Don't try to make a better trilogy. You're not going to improve on those movies. Like, it's impossible. Same thing with the Star Wars original trilogy. Don't even try to reboot. Nobody's going to like it. They'll just go back to the originals. But luckily, so far, I don't see anything. I mean, look at all the downvotes. I mean, this is THR. Nobody likes THR. But this is what they had to say today. This is pretty. How many hours ago is this? 5 hours ago. It says Warner Brothers a new line and going back to Middle Earth with a studio making a deal that will allow it to develop more LOTR movies. The multi-year pact with rights holders Embracer Group, yeah, because Embracer Group just got the rights recently, allows WB to develop features based on J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings books and The Hobbit. Embracer Group, the Swedish gaming company. It's so weird that a gaming company owns the rights to Middle Earth now, but I don't know, it's weird. Acquired the rights to produce LOTR films, games, merch, theme park attractions, and live productions when it purchased rights holder Middle Earth Enterprises last year from the Saul Zaentz company. And Saul Zaentz has had it for a long time, like 25 years or something. The move, announced during WB Discovery's investor call Thursday, yeah, that just happened, comes as CEO David Zaslav seeks to assure Wall Street that Warner's is very much in the franchise game. Here, harking back to the 2000s glory days when the studio was minting money with Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, and Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. Yeah, they were on fire back then, and they really haven't seen that kind of success since then. Uh, with author J.K. Rowling, or we would like to make a deal with J.K. Rowling for more Harry Potter, and initially floated the notion of Lord of the Rings return. Peter Jackson directed the Lord of the Rings trilogy released from 2001 to 2003. Yep, and you're not going to make a better version of those. You're just not. 20 years on now, after Return of the King, it's not going to happen. They're classics, and I know normally you get these things in cycles. Every 20 years or so, they want to reboot. Like Harry Potter, I think could actually reboot and could improve on the movies, unlike Lord of the Rings. Um, we'll see what happens with that. The series earned a combined 2.9 billion at the box office, with 2003's Return of the King winning the Oscar. Yeah, it swept the Oscars with like 11, which deservedly so for the whole series. Jackson returned to direct the Hobbit trilogy 2012 to 2014. Crazy that it's been that long already. New Line already had the animated feature The War of the Rohirrim on the who knows what that's about, but that's like a spin-off, so that doesn't bother me that they're doing that. In a statement, Jackson and his Lord of the Rings partners Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens noted that they were aware of the latest development. Said the trio, WB and Embracer have kept us in the loop every step of the way. We look forward to speaking with them further to hear their vision for this franchise moving forward. We all heard about this. This was idiotic on Amazon's part. Jackson previously noted that Amazon asked him to be involved on its Lord of the Rings TV show, but then did not follow up. Yeah, they ghosted Peter freaking Jackson. Like, why would you do that? Rights to the Tolkien work have always been a little dicey, and a legal dispute between Warner's and the Tolkien estate went on for years before being settled in 2017. A newer complicated matter from a consumer standpoint, Amazon holds the TV rights, but of course they can't, with its mega budget Rings of Power debuting last year. I am no fan of Rings of Power. I thought it was, like, I didn't even finish it. I got like halfway through. Didn't think it was very good. Insane that it's the most expensive TV show ever made and it looks cheap for a lot of it. I think it was a bad idea from the start to try to make a TV show when they don't have the rights to so much material. Like, they can only reference the appendices from Lord of the Rings. They can't mention like any of the History of Middle Earth books or the Silmarillion. So you can't really delve into that book accurate history. It's really stupid. Like, why'd you even try? Um, One question the new series of films will face is how to convince audiences to go to the theater if they can get their fix at home. One big difference here is Amazon focuses on the Second Age, which, from what I hear, not much happened in the Second Age, so why are they making a show on it? Don't know. Thousands of years before the events of the films. The movie rights have focused on the Third Age, when the best known events happened and most beloved characters lived. It's possible that Warner's now could focus on new stories centering Tolkien's big guns, such as Gandalf. That's a typo. It should be centering on Tolkien's whatever. It's THR. They suck. Bilbo and Aragorn. And of course, as much as new movies present opportunities for big franchise swings, they will come under fan scrutiny as much as the current Warner's franchise plays, such as DC and Fantastic Beasts do, which we all know Fantastic Beasts was mid at best. I hate that word, but I'll use it in that context. In a statement, those working on the projects acknowledge the task ahead. Quote, "We understand how cherished these works are, and working together with our partners at New Line and WB Pictures. We plan to honor the past," okay, that's a good start, "look to the future, and adhere to the strongest level of quality and production values," says Lee Guinchard, CEO of Free Mode, which is part of Embracer. And WB film bosses Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdi signal that they are not interested in a retread. Okay, that's good. Not interested in a retread of what Jackson has already done, saying in their own statement, 20 years ago, New Line took an unprecedented leap of faith to realize the incredible stories, characters, and world of the Lord of the Rings on the big screen. The result was a landmark series of films that have been embraced by for 100 years from now, people will still look to those movies as the definitive Lord of the Rings on film, which is great. It was lightning in a bottle. You had the right people at the right time with the emergence of the right technology. You didn't have to over rely on CG like The Hobbit did. You had bigatures. You had the right actors. Like, the casting was perfect. Everything. That was such a perfect storm of perfection that you were never going to recapture it. So just keep re-releasing it on new formats. They should have re-released it in theaters for the anniversary. It's crazy that they didn't. The 2021, they should have put out Fellowship for the anniversary. And then last year, Two Towers. This year, Return of the King. Maybe they'll be smart and put out all three extended in theaters this year for the 20th of Return of the King. I don't know. I do lament the fact that I was too young at the time. I was very young. And I would have loved to see those movies in theaters. Like, what an experience that would have been. And I own them on 4K. They're fantastic. Okay, but for all the scope and detail lovingly packed into the two trilogies, the vast, complex, and dazzling universe dreamed up by J.R.R. Tolkien remains largely unexplored. That's true. The opportunity to invite fans deeper into the cinematic world of Middle-earth is an honor, and we are excited to partner with Middle-earth Enterprises and Embracer on this adventure. The deal is not only a coming home for Lord of the Rings, but also a reunion for DeLuca. The executive was president of production for New Line when the first film in the trilogy, The Fellowship of the Ring, began production, but he was famously let go before the movie was released. Yeah, I mean, those movies, that was a massive leap of faith. You had Peter Jackson, who was unproven. He had done a couple of small indie films at the time, like The Frighteners, but you didn't really know how he was going to handle, still to this day, the most epic trilogy of all time. Like, movies have never been... The only thing that comes close to the scale of Lord of the Rings is maybe, like, Avengers Endgame, but even that wasn't as good. So, like, it was the peak of epic cinema, and we've never returned to it. Even The Hobbit didn't quite reach there. So that's very good to hear that they do not want to retread the trilogy, which is very smart. Don't, like, those movies will be revered classics for hundreds of years. And Peter Jackson will leave this earth knowing that he produced an absolute masterpiece that will be cherished just as much as the books have been for, like, what, 80 years, something like that. So yeah, I don't really care about Rings of Power Season 2, and to hear that it's mostly spin-offs, that's good. And you got games coming out. You got that game called Return to Moria, which is like a Minecraft type game in Moria, which sounds really fun. That's coming. So that quells some of my fears a bit when they say they aren't going to retread. So yeah, what do you guys think about that? Are you happy that they're making more Lord of the Rings movies? Because yeah, there is all the History of Middle-earth books. There is the Silmarillion. There's the Unfinished Tales. There's stuff from the Appendices. There's so much content that can be explored. And if they were smart, they would get Peter Jackson involved. Like, I know he said he's done, but if he came in and was like, I'm going to show Rings of Power how to really do it. Get, like, all the old people back. Richard Taylor, all the guys that worked on the Armors and Armor, and, like, the producers, everyone back. You could do something really special, I think. Yeah, you don't have the framework of like the story of the trilogy, but I think they could maybe pull something off here if they get PJ involved. So, what do you guys think about all this? Let me know in the comments. Or you do not want to see more Lord of the Rings like I do? I mean, I don't rather not see any, to be honest. But if it's not a retread, fine. Give it to us. Let's see what happens. Uh, what's your favorite like piece of Tolkien media? But like outside the movies, because the movies are probably still king, or the books, of course. Um, for me, it's the movies. I still gotta. I haven't read all of the books. I will eventually. So, let me know in the comments what you think of all this, and I will see you next time. Peace out.